So all right, when the currency war, so and you got the BRICS currency, whatever it's going to be. I
Mhm.
want to think about what is it going to be backed by, right? Now, I believe if we talking about history, right? China was the first country to administer a currency that wasn't backed by anything, and that was through Genghis Khan grandson Kublai Khan, right?
Yep.
So he did it by the threat of death. Now that didn't work out so well, right? But that was still the first country, and it's probably going to be the first completely digital country that we know about, right? And we know, they got the digital yuan, and China has been accumulating gold for a long time, right? China has a lot of great gold mines, right?
Mhm.
And China doesn't always report correctly its gold holdings. And it has
As they
been
shouldn't.
said that's possibly because, they're going to wait to report their gold holdings till after they announce what the currency is going to be backed by,
Mhm.
right? And when they do that, of course, they would have to increase that price of gold as well. So you could see the greatest gold rally in history. Now,
Mhm.
when we jumped off the gold, America didn't want gold up. So the gold prices have been manipulated by all the nations on purpose, right?
Absolutely.
Gold,
As a hedge
like
against
people always
us.
talk about gold being a hedge. Everybody knows gold is a hedge. You would think gold would be up right now, right? It should be at least 10,000, 20,000. But what happens? That is a manipulation to keep the price down so that these countries and the central banks and whoever else can keep accumulating it, right? And so, my question to you is do you think it's going to be a basket of commodities like the Bretton Woods 3 conference suggested? Or do
Mhm.
you think it's going to be backed by gold, which makes it easier to put it over under a standard? Because
Fed in Toronto because gold has more. China has more gold than us, hands down.
right,
If they back it by gold, and then we have an actual, because technically money is a paper receipt for an asset that you have in store. It's
exactly.
an ATM slip. So
Mhm.
once we came off the gold standard, that's when you start to be able to do like crazy lending and bad lending practices on the banking side. Um, if they back that by gold while teaming up to solidify that this is safer, that will be like a death blow to us. I'm not being
Mhm.
sensational, but like if I'm playing chess, what can I do to beat you? And say, hey, every dollar that I have for you here as a citizen is backed by gold. Theirs is backed by nothing. While we are ushering out Fed now, and they're attacking every crypto on earth except Bitcoin. So it's digital dollars versus real dollars backed by gold. And wait till you
And
guys
I'll
find out
add
Russia owns the majority of Bitcoin once again. And all of this push in Ethereum and Bitcoin was done to destroy our dollar. And Elon takes his ass over there and repatriates there. It's going to be game,
hot
set,
take.
match.
So here's the thing. So
Hot takes.
I've said it before, and they all, what's not hot when wealth
When
copies my
you
shit
said
and
now, it
copies
hit
yours.
different. Though. When you
Hmm?
said now, it hit different. We're in a different space. And also, just want
No,
to say
they
this:
should have listened 2 years ago.
people don't listen when it's time.
That's
People
not
listen
my
when
fault. That's
look,
not my fault.
uh,
The time to
I
plant
just want to.
or plant a tree is 20 years ago. The best
I
time
just
is
want to say
now.
this, shot. I just want to add to what he said. It doesn't require 100% gold to back up a dollar. It only
Mhm.
requires somewhere around 40 to 50%. So when you're talking about backing up the dollar and you looking at their reserves, even America could do it if they did it the right way, but it doesn't require 100% backing. You understand me? So my suggestion with people as far as one in their diversification is buy gold,
Mhm.
right? Long term, right?
Yep.
For long term. So short term, you might short it because everybody's saying buy gold, so they manipulate it to keep the price down. Long term, if I look at the
You have to hold
2053
it.
wealth report again, they say black people have 0% assets. Gold is an asset. That's a guarantee of wealth storage.
Mhm.
So if you have gold, whether I would do the same model. If you want to be backed by gold, go to 30 to 50% of whatever you're worth and have it in gold. Then you're backed by gold. To me,
so
that's a simple
so
idea
let me let me
diversification.
let me say that. Well, first, all right. So first, um,
This is gonna be a
yeah,
two-parter.
America's in 10th place when it comes to currency, but there are 180 currencies in the world. Um,
You went
so
from top 10 to not mention at all. Yeah,
so
we
But it
know
don't
the
want
sun don't shine.
there's
it should
180
be in first place though. That's not good though, right?
Well, like I said, some countries, have kept their, well, that's a different story for a different day. But let's talk about gold. Let's really talk about gold. So okay. So to play God's advocate here,
Mhm.
Yeah.
gold actually has some real life utilization.
I can name one.
Gold water.
Cold water.
Gold,
Well played.
gold water.
First thing that comes to mind.
Yes, that's the first thing.
Oh,
Gold, gold in different products that we use. So it does have some real life application for sure. But 90% of the gold does not have any real. Is not being used. It's being hoarded, and it's used as a store of value. So, what makes gold valuable? The fact that people think it's valuable because most people are not using it, right? So, what it's not more valuable than water. Currently, right now, it's not more valuable than oil. Currently, right now, it's not more valuable than a lot of different things. You could probably name 10 different things on Earth that have way more. Water is way more valuable than gold.
Who owns the
Tremendous.
majority of the water in the United States of America?
Well, let's just finish this point first. So
I love
my
it though.
Free smoke, free smoke,
so
free smoke, free smoke.
so my thing is this. I'm not saying what you're wrong when you're saying, buy gold, but it's like, okay, if they back the dollar, buy gold. Well, gold, who gives value to gold? Us. Is gold
Right.
really that valuable in the
It's
grand
not
scheme
true.
of things? Probably not.
The
Why
Federal
not?
Reserve
Federal
ordained
Reserve
gold
start
valuable.
for it because and it starts as a precious
But
metal.
once again,
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is that in life, right? Human beings have put value into gold, and it has been traded as a currency and a commodity for thousands of years. So psychologically, it's just already in place to be recognized as something that's valuable, but it's ultimately not that valuable. It's not more valuable than water. It's not more valuable than oil. It's not more valuable than a variety of different
Why not?
things.
No.
It's just not.
Yeah.
It's not. That's not even debatable. That's just a fact.
And that's why I said in 2020 that water is going to be one of the rarest commodities in 2030.
You did say that.
To answer
You
the
just said-
question, Coca-Cola and Nestle own 85% of all major waterways in the United States of America. You think that was done by
So-
accident?
I want to throw this out there since we're talking about gold. Let's talk about, just commodities in general, right? Like when we talk about, and we talked about copper a few weeks ago.
But let him answer the question though.
Which question?
About gold not being that valuable.
What was the question?
So the
Gold
You mean for the average everyday person or a scale?
I think you got to put it at society level when you talk about gold as well, right?
Okay.
And it's a reason why we don't use gold when we could use gold more, right? Because gold is a superconductor of electricity. So gold could be used, and it is used in electronics and appliances, but we don't use it specifically because we turn it into the storehouse of value, right? We use it in beauty products, like since Samaria to the Egyptians have always used gold, right? And this was before it was a currency. They used it for as many other different properties. It have very alchemical properties, but it's not utilized and associated in that manner because gold is actually one of the worst marketed commodities on the planet.
That's
right? The bullion industry does not market gold correctly. So this is why a lot of people haven't been using it. When you look at digital currency, it's been the best marketed currency on the planet. This is why so many people has used it. It has a philosophy behind it, ideas. When people think of gold in all its majesticness and how it actually does, right, enhance the properties of a body, and we're born with 0.02% gold within the body, that becomes different story than why is paper dollars valuable in the first place, right? Because it's a social construct. But beyond the social construct, gold actually does have real value, right? It has a beautiful story if it's told correctly. So for me, I think that because they took everything off the gold standard, and society is not about enhancing itself and enhancing its bioelectrical field and becoming the smartest and spiritual movements and things of that nature. We don't have a society that uses gold correctly for the uses that it could be. Right? It's the same way how people only look at Bitcoin as a currency when it's the blockchain that created the greatest ledger that the whole entire world is going to operate on. So it's the way we look at gold that makes gold devalued. But gold has always had value since the beginning of humankind. Why would people of early days go and mine gold when that's a very arduous task. They wasn't trading in as currencies, right? They was using it for its alchemical properties, right? In the beginning, ancient Egyptians understood how they could utilize it, but society ain't golden no more, right? We ain't living life like it's golden. So for me, like I said, I'm gonna sip that gold water all day, you know.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm
I,
listening to what. So based on the gold's narrative is where the value comes from, right? Because you have plenty of other precious metals that we do use: copper, nickel, silk. Those things are being used, not looked at it the same, and their stories aren't the same. And so, based on what you're saying, the narrative that has been shaped around it is why it got its value, right? Is that what you're saying?
Can I chime in really quick?
no, it
Witness,
has intrinsic value, in my opinion, and the reason why it's been devalued is because the narrative hasn't continued. Right. So like it was a point in time. I think took everybody off the gold standard and made it illegal to hold gold up until the 70s. You can only have it in jury. Right. So that's a whole period of time, decades of time where the world wasn't looking at gold. There was a meeting where Europe wanted to increase the gold price. They had it's meeting member numbers with Henry Kissinger, right? And members, I believe, the European Parliament. I don't know if I got my historicals correct on that exactly, but this was a meeting that happened, and America was like, no, we can't let y'all come and play with gold because we just took ours off this standard and we don't want y'all playing with the price of it. So they did things to make sure it was manipulated. So the story of gold in people's mind hasn't been told. The story of gold, about gold minings, that's about it. Right. But any other properties on how we use it in dentistry and electronics and medicine and aerospace and glass making and photography and architecture, that's not what's marketed in the gold story today. So when you look at people use the dollar, a paper dollar that's worth zero with old slave masters on it, right? And we spread that around with a social construct that this has some value, even though this was made to be a receipt for gold, which is considered to be God's money, right? That's a completely different story. So gold is not the greatest, it's not going to be the greatest when you're talking about lugging it around and everybody got coins, but that's why we created the papers to say this is backed by gold. They're creating cryptocurrencies backed by gold. They already have cryptocurrencies backed by gold, rather, right? And look at Warren Buffett. He went and bought a gold mine, right? So if we talking about the greatest investor of all time, he believes in this gold. But for me, it's a diversification. It's not the whole thing.
But let me say this real quick. The reason why it's important, because gold is one of the few assets that you can trade with internationally, even in times of war or if we have complete shutdown. You cannot do that with diamonds. Silver doesn't hold as much value. And the reason why it's been marketed that way is because we all can agree capitalism is designed for maybe 20% max of people to win and 80% to lose. You cannot have a winning capitalist society without a bunch of people losing at scale. So when we came off the gold standard, they made it illegal to hold gold because they wanted all the reserves for gold in their possession. This isn't something that I got off YouTube. Go look at the Federal Reserve Act of 1913 when we came off the gold standard and why that was pushed and why this is why it's really important that I always tell you, I didn't start investing in 2020. So some of these lessons that you get to learn and get to hear how this was planned when we sold all of our toll roads, sold all of our waterways, sold our major tech off, and then in exchange, we started to bring in CEOs from other countries to run our companies. This was a planned fucking destruction the entire time. This was planned. We're the only country on earth, like even in our politics, we can't even get Republicans and Democrats to agree that China is our enemy. We're worried about pronouns and a whole bunch of other shit that doesn't matter. But guess what? Some of them are paid off too. Y'all keep worried about Nancy Pelosi. Y'all need to go see who has trade deals set up in China for when shit goes down. These are my thoughts, my views. Y'all don't have to agree. This is a great part about investing. You don't have to agree with none of my people. Like, yo, you doing a hot take? No, I'm doing hot wins. No, the takes don't matter. I said it before and I'm gonna say it again. Troy Rashad, how many black podcasters make 500,000 to $1 million a year? There's no money in hot takes. Gossip and propaganda are tools of the poor they pushed on us. Now, if we want to talk, we can run ACK and everybody else numbers. I know who's making what. They ain't hitting that shit. We don't need no hot takes. It actually costs us more money to do media.
My graduates from my school being Forbes. Bag drop.
Bag drop.
A mic drop. Bag drop.
Bag drop.